Today, we're going to be talking about The Punisher Season 1, Part 1, and then we're going to be diving into The Walking Dead and The Flash, so stay tuned. Welcome to The Real Reviews, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. And this is our Tube Talk segment, where we're talking about television and TV and episodes and stuff like that. And with me, I have Joel Cunningham. How you doing?
Great. Doing really good.
Awesome.
Excited for this Thanksgiving food coming up this week.
Me too. I'm about to crush it.
I was having you're gonna have a lot of good food?
Well, I was thinking, people always say stay hydrated. I'm thinking I'm gonna stay carbohydrated.
There you go. No, I like it. Yeah. It was funny. Our family's been saying we're gonna have like a toned back or like a scaled down Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And so we're like, we're just gonna do turkey, mashed potatoes, and stuffing, and that's it. And then somebody was like, but I want cranberries, and somebody else was like, well, what about the rolls? And then somebody else, I want pie.
Yeah,
and so it's like, we've slowly scaled back up to like the normal size Thanksgiving.
You're like, okay, never mind.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, we'll just do nothing. And, then
if you're listening to this, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
And Joel, just in case,
I am thankful for LaCroix, Matt.
Yeah, me
and
too.
Matt.
And in case you didn't know, guys, Joel pronounces it pecan pie.
Yes, don't judge me.
I don't know
Again,
many people that say it. I say pecan.
I know, but I learned it from Pecan Sandies. They're a cookie.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I got those when I was a kid.
Pecan Sandy sounds like a bad outlaw in the Wild West.
Wild West. My name's Pecan Sandy.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, it would be a girl probably. My name's Pecan Sandy.
Anyways,
I'm the rootinest, tootinest, cookie munching.
let's stay on target here. Stay on target. Okay, so
speaking of Star Wars,
let's jump right into this because I was real excited about this. The Punisher.
Yes.
We're gonna do part 1 review. We'll do part 2 next week, hopefully.
Yes, there's 13 episodes, and we've only been able to get through about half so far.
Yeah. Right. So we're doing a part 1 here. Let's say, or let me say right off the bat, I love it so far. I love The Punisher.
Yeah.
And I think there's something about how it's got that gritty action that kind of like the first Daredevil had.
Yeah.
But there's no fantastical element to it. It's very straightforward. It's in the Marvel universe, but there's no like superhero element to it. It's just basically a soldier went through something crazy, uncovering conspiracies, all this stuff, and he's basically on a rampage, and he is awesome. This show in itself so far, ever since Fury, I mean, we know John Bernthal as Shane from The Walking Dead. That's the first time I saw him.
He also had a very brief cameo role in Baby Driver.
That was awesome. He's awesome.
He's been in a lot of stuff, but
he was awesome in that. He was awesome in Wind River, and but I saw him cameo. And I saw him in Fury, and I was like, man, he had just way more depth to him about that. Just kind of his character is just unhinged.
He's one of those actors that kind of has that look in his eye of just that unhinged, kind of unbridled rage that some actors are so good with.
And he's so good. And he was actually, but he can also like bring it down, like in Wind River.
Yeah.
And where you see this like real emotional depth to him. He
could be a gentle boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, so
too much.
This show in itself though is, and I loved him. He was my favorite part of Daredevil season 2. John Bernthal's quickly becoming one of my favorite like actors for this kind of like thing where he's just like the action dude, and he's so good in this. He hits the emotional moments. He's doing all the action, and the action is awesome with him.
Very visceral.
Yes,
which it should be. It's the Punisher.
Yeah, and I'm really, really liking. They're not shying away from that stuff because it's true to his story. His character is the source material, all that stuff, and I'm really, really liking it. Obviously, right now I haven't finished it, but as it stands right now, it could either be on its way to tie my favorite Marvel TV series,
Daredevil,
or potentially be my favorite Marvel TV series. So
I feel similarly, but I'm surprised.
I love it so far. So we'll have to see. I still got the second half to go through, but thoughts?
I'm in agreement with pretty much everything you said. I'm really liking the fact. I was talking to a friend yesterday about the show, and he's like looking for kind of TV shows, and he's like, "Man, I'm done with superhero stuff," and I'm like, "Just watch The Punisher."
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I don't want to watch superhero, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, you don't understand. It's like, it's not a superhero show.
Right.
It is because it's Marvel, but it really doesn't feel, it feels like an action suspense drama.
Yeah.
It's
good. And there's this like political element too that kind of that's
quasi-political element that's kind of part of it as well, where they're sort of like it's this like pro-America but anti-government sort of thing, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm okay with it, you know what I mean? As long as they don't go, we've talked about this, as long as they don't go too much in these big rants of like politics and soapboxing and stuff, whatever side they take, I'll be fine with it. But it's a part of the story and it fits and it makes sense. It's just showing progress for different characters.
Yeah.
So, and you've got people on both sides. You've got some good people that work in the government, then you got a lot of bad, corrupt people that work in the government. And obviously, the Punisher is who you sort of connect with in the story, as well as his sidekick kind of friend guy, his computer hacker
Micro.
buddy. Yeah, Micro. But at the same time, you're kind of like, he's doing bad stuff.
Right.
So he's kind of an anti-hero, very much in that sense. And he's so good at the role, though, that you almost end up feeling like, okay, maybe he did, chop that guy's whatever, cut that guy's face or stab him in the gut and, and then there's those moments of extreme violence when you see him kind of react to things and really get into a moment and you kind of go, maybe this is an anti-hero. Like maybe I'm rooting for you, buddy, but you are really being, that's crazy. So I'm loving that dichotomy. I'm loving kind of the juxtaposition, if you will, of how I see his character. I really feel like, and I texted you this, I feel like it's very real and honest, not just in the violence and the visceralness of that, but in the way the characters interact with each other and relate to each other. Yeah. It doesn't feel like they're just staging conversations to move a plot point along or just to progress the story to the next scene. It really feels like everybody is reacting, the kids even, the way that the kids are reacting to the loss of Mike, like, their father being out of the house and more or less dead, according to the story. That feels very real. It feels like that's the way a kid would probably act.
For sure. And so you were texting me about how it felt real, and I was like, it felt so real how that one guy's face reacted to getting hit by a sledgehammer.
No, but I'm just saying, like, and that's funny. I mean, that's very true.
Get it.
But like just to go to the pilot episode, the way that he interacts with the guys on the construction site felt very honest and very real. They're not trying to get in a fight with the guy, but they're trying to intimidate him enough that he's not going to like cause issues for them.
Right.
And then the way that the guy got kind of manipulated and pulled into this job.
Yeah.
It felt very honest.
Yeah.
And the whole circumstance, the way that it played out,
good writing.
Is very good writing.
Yeah.
So I just liked it. I enjoyed it. It doesn't feel like people are reacting just for the necessities of the script, which I've seen in some Marvel properties in the past.
I'm really excited to see the rest of the season. Again, if they stay on this course, I think it's going to be just a win. Yeah. A huge win.
I think my favorite episode so far have definitely been that first episode, the pilot one. I also really liked the episode where him and Micro finally meet up. Yeah. And it's kind of like the back and forth of that relationship and like who's got the upper hand on who kind of a thing. I really liked that and enjoyed it. And there's been a few good twists that I kind of saw coming. I mean, just in regard to like, who the bad guys are.
Right.
I kind of like, okay, you get that. And I really enjoyed the flashbacks of their time over in Afghanistan.
There's that one flashback where you see Frank take out like all those dudes when they get pinned down in that ambush. He's just like, and he's going like crazy.
Yeah. Well, and it's showing you it's not just showing you violence, but it's showing you the events that sort of led up to him being who he is and being where he is and sort of why it happened. Yeah. The one thing I am kind of sad is like I didn't get to see I didn't get to see him in Daredevil yet. I haven't made that far in Daredevil.
Oh,
so I've been kind of piecing together bits of the story.
You gotta watch
like relationships that he has with people like Karen.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do they?
You gotta watch it, dude.
I'm like, did they do something together?
you gotta go back and watch it. Yeah. They were kind of.
They were kind of a thing.
Matt Murdock and Karen Page were all part of his counsel in his trial and stuff like that. So
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
but overall, I'm really enjoying it. I'm liking it's kind of like it kind of like tightens and then it loosens. Yeah. The story does, and then it tightens again. And you're like, it's gonna break, and then it kind of loosens, and I'm waiting for that. I'm hoping that it ends with a big final break, but sometimes Marvel fails to do that. So
we'll see how it happens. I love it. I mean, I give it in A. I mean, it's up there for me right now. I can't judge it until I see the whole thing. But
I put it right about, I see like 93.
Yeah. It's so good.
So like A minus, I think.
So good. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. Joel, I got a chance to see last time you reviewed last week's Walking Dead. I didn't get a chance to see. I watched that. I watched this week's. I'm caught up. You're caught up.
Yay.
You liked the previous episode. You didn't like this one as much.
So we can talk about this now, though. I mean, the Shiva thing.
Oh, Shiva, yeah.
Isn't that just so painful?
I was so upset. I felt like we didn't get enough.
I know, I know this sounds like conspiracy theory-esque.
We spoil things on this show in case you didn't know that.
Spoilers, Shiva died. But, sorry. That's probably an open wound for a lot of people. But I really felt like they only did that just because she's such a budgeted, like it's a high budget item for them on the show.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we can't keep bringing this giant tiger in. And it was kind of like Deus Ex Tiger in a way. It was like whenever they got caught in a rock in a hard place, in comes this giant tiger. It was getting a little old. But
Shiva dies in the comics.
Yeah.
But we did. I felt like we just didn't get to know.
Yeah.
Or
I wanted a
get
Shiva
more.
story arc.
Yeah,
I wanted her
something.
to be like, rah, rah.
Talking to everybody.
No, but it would have been really cool to actually see that relationship. And they talk about the relationship, but it kind of would have actually been really cool if they'd been able to like do a flashback and show how that relationship really started, but they're not going to do that.
If Negan in fact dies at some point in the future, I would have wanted Shiva to do it.
I could have seen that, yeah, or at least take a leg,
or like the ghost of Glenn.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So this episode in particular, to go to that one, I felt like again was a bit of a step back. Some stuff kind of moved forward,
sure,
but it took so long for us to even get to that Negan in the trailer.
Yeah.
It's like that was the first episode.
Yeah, and
I really could care less about what had happened just before. They attacked the Saviors.
Right.
What Rick and everybody was like, before Rick and everybody attacked the Saviors. I really could have cared less about the fact that they had a boardroom meeting where, what's his name? Is it Gregory? From
Hilltop.
From Hilltop.
And then
I really
Dwight
could care less about Gregory being in a boardroom meeting with the members of the Saviors. The only revelation that was interesting there was the fact that they it pieces together how they knew to attack at that time.
Right.
But that could have been revealed easily at any point from just a line of dialogue. So it's like, how do they know to attack us right now when we're
So we know that. So kind of basically they used it as a launching point to highlight a couple things. One of them for me is Eugene is figuring out that Dwight is the one who gave the information about the outposts to Daryl.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens there. Eugene's bothered me ever since he's kind of always bothered me, but I think he's bothered me since he kind of flipped sides a little bit.
Yeah.
The other part of it being...
Not only flip sides, but like completely unwarrantedly just doesn't even care about the other side almost now.
What the heck? Anyways, and then what was the other thing? That... lost my train of thought. What?
For this episode?
Yeah.
I mean, we had Negan in the shed, then we had Rick and what's his face? Daryl arguing over the plan, the stupid stuff there. I'm
just there was one thing that I felt like this episode was there to highlight. It was that Dwight was helping and that Eugene's in this the other thing was that there's basically workers that are part of the Saviors group that could take over at any time. They have the numbers, but if they're not satiated by Negan and company, then they could uprise against them. So there's that element to play as well.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, there was interesting elements that were presented. I mean, finding out a little bit of Negan's backstory kind of was cool, and his wife and everything, how that played out. Excuse me. I thought the slight breakdown of the relationship between Rick and Daryl was kind of interesting, but it felt so manipulated.
It was more like
and it was
brothers
like,
arguing.
Where did that fight? Yeah, and it was like, where did that? They could have been building up towards that a lot more. Like that could have been almost like a Shane, him and a Shane type break. But instead, it was just kind of like, well, I disagree with you, so we're going to fight now.
Yeah.
And so it didn't feel earned in the same sense. It felt like brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It felt earned, but as like brothers.
They're like, oh, okay. And then at the very end, right before it explodes, Daryl's like, hurry, grab my hand. I'll pull you out of the explosion.
Exactly. And that could have been a moment where he had to like decide, like, am I going to save Rick or Daryl? Is Rick going to save Daryl?
Right.
And they decide to do so, and it kind of repairs that. But they didn't do that. Instead, it was just like they kind of quickly built up to this, like, we don't like what each other are doing, and now we're going to fight, and then it's over.
Oh, what's up with the helicopter?
I don't know.
We don't know. That's interesting. That was interesting, actually.
Like I said, a couple cool things happened. The helicopter was kind of a cool thing, but it didn't really feel like much happened this episode. Basically, the guns that they kind of almost had, which they're not going to really be able to use because they are so overpowered, end up getting destroyed through just fire randomly just starts in that car. Which, I mean, they showed the gas leaking, but what sparked it? Nothing really sparked it. So that was there, and then you had this long out. I do like the fact that they suddenly remembered that if you cover yourself in zombie entrails, that they'll pretty much avoid you. I like that they kind of remembered that, but I like how they always conveniently just put it on their like shoulders.
Right.
And I'm like, no, cover your whole body. Yeah. Like, it stinks, but
they did that in the first season.
Yeah.
It was more like all over your face.
Right, but they like always forget it.
Right.
And it's like, dude, like I would be figuring out how to like condense down this zombie stench.
Right.
And like turn it into like something I could put on my body.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. There's just a lot, you would think Eugene could potentially come up with something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
Overall, it's just like meh. It's like a meh.
I gave it a 7.5.
7.5. I'd give it a little bit lower. I'd probably put it at like a 7.1.
Okay.
Something like that.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
That's going to take us into our last show that we're going to talk about here. Now, I didn't get to review the last week's episode. I caught up on that one, but I didn't get to see last night's episode. So you got to see it. The big thing just for me, I don't care that much for Ralph's character.
I can't stand Ralph's character.
I know. So you had mentioned it previously that we at the beginning of the season, we took like 2 or 3 steps forward, which is awesome. You know, got the Flash kind of back to season 1 level, but then adding Ralph is kind of been that one step backward that I'm like, man, he's just kind of grating. His humor's not funny just because he's kind of a jerk, you know?
Yeah.
And I can't connect with this guy, you know?
Yeah.
And
lowest common denominator humor. And
he's
stupid.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to see him overcome anything.
Right.
Like I could care less about him.
How about this episode this week? How'd you feel about it?
I liked it.
Okay.
It was a good episode overall.
Okay.
I mean, it was a good, I will say it was actually good because of what they didn't do.
Okay.
It wasn't necessarily great because of what they did do. It delves into DeVoe.
Yeah, because
his history. Yeah. And how that's going to look with that battle between sort of Flash and his team, the Star Labs team, versus DeVoe and what he's about. And so I like that. I mean, you get a better picture of the Thinker and his powers and abilities. And I liked that. But it was better because there was almost the situation a couple times where they could have turned this into like this unnecessary drama between the characters, and it like tiptoed into that water, but it didn't fully immerse itself, and it quickly backed itself out. I was like, this makes sense.
See,
it's like,
CW is too much drama, especially with that show, and I'm just, if they can stay out of doing that too much with character drama, that's like...
Yeah, and they keep the only sad part of the episode is they keep talking about how him and Iris are going to get married, and I keep going, no!
Yeah.
Every time they say it, I'm like...
Team Spivot over here.
I'm like, part of me is hoping that like they really just
Savitar comes back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it, but like,
and it's like, and you're like, what?
But they kind of like confirmed softly that they're not going to mess with the wedding. Like in one of the sort of throwaway lines at the end of the episode, they kind of like said like, aren't you going to do something about him getting married? And he's like, oh no, he needs to find out what love is or something.
Oh,
but,
gotcha.
Yeah, but I'm like, goodbye, Iris. Sorry.
It's
just send her to another dimension. You've got like a bazillion different Earths, you know? Send her to another. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
One of the characters makes a reappearance. One of the characters from the past as well, which wasn't the greatest thing because I don't know how, but somehow his acting has gotten worse.
Oh no!
You know, since he left, I mean, and I don't know how much of a part he's going to play in the story. I don't necessarily need to say who, but like, you probably know who I'm talking about.
No, I don't.
Kid Flash.
Okay,
so Kid Flash comes back and he's like, I am here and I experienced many things that I have learned from. I'm like,
really?
You are somehow worse as an actor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I didn't get to say this about 2 weeks ago. Watching Tom Cavanaugh play Harrison and those like 3 outrageous people is so good.
Yeah.
He's a great actor. And I really love seeing that. It's just fun. He's just really good. He's always been a highlight of the show.
Yeah. The one thing and then this will probably be the last thing I talk about with this most recent episode was I really liked they took you back to the events that originally started The Flash. And it was kind of cool in a way because you've gone on so many of these things and you've seen some really stupid stuff happen. So it was kind of nice to reconnect with like what started it all.
Yeah.
Because that was like, it's like going back to like a happier time.
Yeah.
You know, for him. So I liked that as well.
Cool.
So it was a good episode. I thought it was better than the last episode.
Yeah, with the dinosaur.
Yeah,
it's
but
too much Ralph.
Yeah, too much Ralph.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What'd you rate it?
I would put this one probably like an 87.
Okay,
86,
cool.
87. Yeah.
I like it. I dig it.
Cool.
Well, that's going to wrap up today's Tube Talk. Again, connect with us, Twitter and Instagram at Real Review Media, Facebook.com/Real Review Media. Also email us, realreviewmedia@gmail.com. And check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/The Real Review.
That's it.
And our website, realreviewmedia.com. And we can connect to all of our other avenues there as well. Check out some cool new news. But other than that, anything else you want to add?
Pecan Sandies.
Pecan. I'm just going to say
Sandus.
pecan pie, you guys. It's called pecan pie.
Pecan Sandy, and I'm rooting.
Happy Thanksgiving. Have a great Thanksgiving. And
Happy Thanksgiving.
It's been real.
It's been real.